Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Hardy?
Here.
Senator Lang? Senator Neal?
Here.
Senator Pickard?
Here.
Senator Scheibel?
Here.
Senator Settlemeyer?
Here.
Chair Spearman?
Here.
Senator Lang?
And I know she's here. She was having some difficulty, I think, with the link earlier.
I'm here.
Okay. So it looks like we have all of our members present and accounted for. So welcome to our audience joining us remotely and anyone listening over the internet. Today, we have a work session. I would like to take a moment to go over some of the basic housekeeping items. As you know, the legislative building is currently closed as for public safety reasons to reduce the spread and infection rate of COVID-19 to the public, and so all committee meetings and all of the committee members will be participating virtually. Video conference is available also by phone. However, there are various ways members of the public can engage with us and participate throughout the process. As in previous sessions, all committee-related information is available on Nellis, which is accessible from the legislator's website. There are 4 ways to engage with the committee. These include registering to participate in a committee meeting through the new system on Nellis, which places you in line to testify on a bill, provide public comment during the meeting. You may submit written comment to the committee email address or fax number listed on the agenda. You may also share your opinion via the legislator's opinion application on Nellis, or you may view committee meetings online through Nellis or the legislature's YouTube channel. During the 2021 legislative session, to testify on a bill or to provide public comment, members of the public must first register for the meeting that you would like to participate in. Committee meetings are listed in several places on Nellis, and to register, simply click the participant button near the meeting date and time. Then fill in the required information such as your name, the agenda item that you're interested in, and your position on the bill. Once your registration is submitted, you will receive a confirmation screen, and you will also receive an email with phone number and meeting ID to call at the time of the meeting. Just to note that while meeting registration is required to participate, it does not guarantee you everyone will be able to speak. Similar to previous sessions, comment and public comment may be limited due to time constraints. I will announce the time frame for each for, against, and neutral before we start. And I will also ask everyone to please keep your remarks safe, and keep your remarks brief, and recognize that if you go over 2 minutes, that means that someone else cannot get their 2 minutes in. And ditto is always a good response. This allows more people to comment during that time frame. When you're on the phone line, please pay attention to which bill is being considered and following the verbal prompts provided by the BPS staff, so that you know which key to press to raise your hand or unmute yourself. Staff will call on you to speak with the last 3 digits of your phone number. Detailed instructions for participating in committee meetings are also available on the help page, which is linked in the banner at the top of every page on Nellis. If you need assistance with any of these processes, or if you would like to receive electronic notification of the committee's agendas and minutes, please contact our committee manager at the committee email address listed on the agenda. Any exhibits for the committee must be submitted in electronic format no later than 8:00 a.m. the day before the meeting. They must be submitted to our committee manager, Terry Miller, or to our committee policy analyst, Cesar Mararejo. Committee contact information may be found on the committee page in Nellis. In addition, any person wishing to propose an amendment must first talk to the sponsor and let them know that you intend to propose an amendment. I will not entertain any amendments if the sponsor is not aware of the amendment. The proposed amendment must be submitted in writing 24 hours prior to the meeting. Please include the bill number, a statement of intent, and your contact information. When testifying, please remember to turn the unmute button off on your microphone and clearly state your name and the entity you represent at the beginning of your testimony. Please speak clearly and project your voice to ensure that those watching remotely can hear your testimony. If you speak like that, no one can hear what you're saying. So please make sure that you unmute your microphone and project your voice so everyone listening will be able to do so. A reminder to all those who testify pursuant to Nevada Revised Statutes NRS 218E.85. It is unlawful for any person to knowingly misrepresent facts when testifying before a legislative committee. A person who knowingly does so is guilty of a misdemeanor. The chair and members may request any testifier to submit documentation supporting their testimony. To committee members, during these virtual meetings, when an agenda item is called for a vote, our committee secretary will call the roll. We will do this and ask you to answer either yes or no so that there is no confusion. Also, if you have a question, please raise your hand through the Zoom application. If your Zoom application is not working, please put it in the chat and our committee analyst will let me know. And finally, all exhibits received prior to the meeting will be available on Nellis. So today we have a hearing on Senate Bill 35. We have joint presenters, Jessica Adair, Chief of Staff, Office of the Attorney General, and Kevin Ingram, Private Investigators Licensing Board, Office of the Attorney General. I will now open the hearing on Senate Bill 35. You may begin when you're ready.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Great. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Jessica Adair for the record. Good morning, Chairman Spearman and members of the committee. My name is Jessica Adair, as I stated, and I serve as the Chief of Staff for the Nevada Attorney General's Office. I am joined here virtually by Director Kevin Ingram, the Director of the Private Investigator Licensing Board. Thank you for allowing us to present SB 35, a bill to modernize the Private Investigator Licensing Board, commonly known as the PILB. In 1969, during the 55th legislative session, the Nevada Legislature passed SB 67, a bill that mandated the chairman of the board shall be the Attorney General or a Deputy Attorney General designated by the Attorney General to act in such capacity. The statute had previously required that the Chief Officer of the Nevada Highway Patrol serve as the chair of the PILB. According to the Legislative Council Bureau's Research Division, the 1969 Senate Committee on Transportation did not keep minutes of its meetings, so the reasons for the statutory change may be lost to history. Perhaps the change was made because at the time, the Attorney General also served as the ex officio director of the Nevada Department of Highways. Perhaps it was because the position was important to then Attorney General Harvey Denver Dickerson. A.G. Dickerson's role as PILB chair was prominently featured on his campaign literature seeking what would have been his fourth term as the Attorney General. Much has changed in Nevada over the past 52 years since the PILB was placed in the Attorney General's office. The population has grown from 480,000 residents to over 3 million. The legislature no longer typically accepts exhibits via Western Union Telegram, as I discovered in my legislative research. And the Attorney General can no longer serve more than 2 terms. As the times change, so too must the PILB. In 2007, the Nevada State Legislature passed AB 531, removing the Attorney General as the chair and creating a separate fund in the Attorney General's office so that the PILB could have some control over its finances. Fortunately, those minutes do exist. AB 531 was sponsored by then Attorney General Catherine Cortez Masto. Testimony indicates that the relationship between the PILB and the Attorney General's office was unique even 14 years ago. No other occupational licensing board was financially connected to the Attorney General's office, nor was the Attorney General a member of any other licensing board, let alone serving as its chair. While the legislative change did give the PILB some independence, the board could not fully separate from our agency without being able to open its own bank account and be removed from the state's accounting system. The bill before you today adopts authorizing language that is customary for many other occupational licensing boards that manage their own funds in accordance with state laws and fiduciary obligations. The PILB has a professional staff fully capable of managing its own affairs, and the existing system only serves to create needless bureaucracy. Thank you for your time hearing this bill, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Adair. Any other testimony to be given? Have anyone else present to give testimony? Yes, no?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kevin Ingram, and I'm the Executive Director of the Private Investigators Licensing Board. For the sake of time, I'll go ahead and use your term.
Mr. Ingram, hold on. Your mic sounds a little muffled.
Is this better?
That's much better.
Okay, I'll move a little closer. Again, good morning. My name is Kevin Ingram. I'm the Director of the Private Investigators Licensing Board, and I'll go ahead and use your term, Madam Chair, ditto, but would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Committee members, are there any questions?
Madam Chair.
I see. Yes, Vice Chair here.
So I just had a question about Ms. Adair mentioned 2007, but what did the minutes say on why it was created in 2007? The fund.
Thank you, Senator.
Under Cortez Masto.
Thank you, Senator. This is Jessica Adair for the record. The minutes in that meeting discussed how strange, frankly, it was that the pre-ILB was connected to the Attorney General's office in any way. In fact, they felt like it was a conflict that the PILB was located within the AG's office and with the AG serving as the chair, unlike any other occupational licensing board in the state. So at the time, the legislature at the time created this separate fund. Though it is still located within our existing budget, it is just a separate fund that we work with the PILB to manage. And so at that time, it was noted by the legislature that it was strange that the AG's office was so connected to the PILB, and there did need to be some separation there. And that's why they removed the AG as the chair and created a separate fund, but still within the AG's office. This wasn't a part of the minutes at the time. Maybe Director Ingram can enlighten us. I'm thinking that at the time, the PILB did not have the staff to manage its own budget at the time. But now they have an executive director, other staff members who are capable of doing so. So I hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I didn't realize that. So Ingram has been the director since 2007?
No, ma'am. I've been the executive director since 2012.
Okay. So my only other quick follow-up is, since this is a deletion from the AG's budget, does this also go to ways for this change in your budget? Because basically you're removing a budget that is normally reviewed by finance.
Jessica Adair for the record. So that is a great question, Senator. I don't know, since this doesn't have a fiscal impact on our office in terms of it won't cost us any money. It's essentially revenue neutral as it moves from just one place to another. But that's a good question. I don't know the procedure here. So I would I would look to help from LCB or experts such as yourself to let me know if it would go to waste.
Madam Chair, Kevin Ingram.
Senator Settlemeyer, is that you? I'm sorry, Vice Chair Neal, were you finished?
Yeah, I mean, the only other question I had is how much money do they have in their account? But,
Madam Chair, this is Kevin Ingram for the record. I believe I can answer those questions for you.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. So the Private Investigators Licensing Board Fund is a non-executive budget. So we do not receive money from the legislature in any way. We're a 100% self-funded agency. And the reason that the fund was placed under the Attorney General's office, I believe, was because prior to it becoming the Private Investigators Licensing Board Fund, it was called a special fund within the Attorney General's office. So during the 2007 session, they clearly identified it as the Private Investigators Licensing Board Fund because of it being a non-executive. The only thing that would really affect the Attorney General's budget, I believe, would be that it's no longer included in their closing statements because it's not money allocated to them by the legislature. We would simply be pulling away from the financial responsibilities, and then would be set up like all other boards and commissions are set up in the state. Some of this testimony was given also during the Sunset Committee hearings that we had in 2019 and 2020. But I believe that to be really the only impact is that we'll no longer have part of our budget, which is non-executive, tied to theirs during closing.
thank you.
Thank you. I see Senator Settlemaier's hand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question related to the Sunset Committee in relation to how many months of reserve do you have? And the reason I ask this, if this is the only one that's different than the others, I appreciate the bill and I understand it and I'm basically in agreement with it. I'm just curious, will the state legislature still have the ability to know the amount of funds that are in the reserve so that we can try to address what to me is a barrier to entrance into this trade, which is the rather high licensing fees in relation to the other Western states. So, but I also understand they need to have a sufficient reserve. So maybe it's more of a question of expenditures, but I guess the first question is how many months reserve do you currently have? And what do your fee structures look like currently based upon other Western states?
Madam Chair, Kevin Ingram.
Mr. Ingram?
Yeah, may I proceed?
Yeah. Did you say yes?
I believe I can answer that question.
Okay, yes.
So as of right now, during the 2019 audit that was conducted, we were running at about 3.5 months in reserve, which I know is behind what the statutes have established for boards and commissions, but not like unlike other boards and commissions that were struggling with that as well. I'm happy to report right now we're running at about 5 months for reserves, and the oversight of our budget would still fall through the audits that we have to have done and present to the LCB auditor. Ours is set up on a 2-year cycle, and then with oversight of governor's finance as well. So those would be tracked very closely through the auditing. I would continue to use very similar accounting principles that we use currently with the financial system, and would need to hire a service to help provide with the payroll services as the other boards and commissions do. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, Mr. Ingram, thank you, and thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to see, though, some ability of your board to start to lower the fees, because I do consider it to be a barrier of trade to get into this trade, considering how large they are compared to all the other states. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and duly noted. Senator Hardy, you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know that we're looking at boards and fees and organizations this session. I've heard, Terry Reynolds or Michael Brown talking about, boards being coalesced. So my question is, how often does the board meet? When did they last meet? The public decisions of adverse findings, where are they and where can the public get access to them? And are they being overseen in such a way that we know what's happening?
Madam Chair, for the record, Kevin Ingram.
No, proceed.
Thank you, ma'am. Our board is set up to meet quarterly, more often if it's needed. Our last board meeting was held in December, and we have a board meeting scheduled for March 2nd. That will be coming up real soon. As far as the oversight, all of our transcripts are posted on our website. They're posted on the state notice websites and readily available to the public. At this time, we're not meeting in person due to COVID. We are holding all of our meetings telephonically. Those have been going very well. And anyone that would wish to attend these meetings can reach out to my office. I'll be happy to give the telephone numbers and the access codes to be able to participate and hear how the meetings are presented. We would welcome anybody to observe the meetings. We are represented by a Deputy Attorney General. Per statute, we are to use their services as our legal counsel. And then again, once the transcripts have been completed, those are posted on our state website for you. Did I miss anything, Senator?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised. Anyone else have a question? We'll take that as a no. And we will now open up public comment. Those of you who wish to support the bill, please listen for the prompt from our broadcast folks.
Good morning. To testify in support of SB 35, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 120, please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Stephen Cohen for the record. Stephen with a V. Cohen as in the Assemblywoman, but no known relation that we're familiar with. Fully in support, in particular, as the Q&A kind of teased out when contested issues potentially arise, having regulatory entities, of which Mr. Presenters is one. Gaming control would be another example, and anything that involves licensing or anything of that sort, having them be independent of the Attorney General's office is a big plus, and here's why. Because the Attorney General is designated as the official executive branch attorney. So essentially, if a licensee disagrees with a licensing or regulatory decision, they're essentially fighting themselves. And with that, Madam Chair, thank you, and I yield.
Chair, you have no more callers.
Okay. I was trying to make sure that it sounded like it was a comment, then it sounded like maybe it was a question. Question, comment? Ms. Adair or Mr. Ingram, do you all care to address his comments, just in case it was a question?
Jessica Adair for the record. I want to acknowledge on the record that there is no conflict between the AG's office representing the PALB we do so with all occupational licensing boards. And I'm not quite sure I understood the caller's question beyond that.
Thank you. If we're finished with no more callers in the queue for support,
Correct, Chair. You have no more callers at this time.
okay, so we will begin with opposition. If you are in opposition, please listen for the prompt from broadcast.
We are on SB 35. To testify in opposition, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no callers in opposition at this time.
Okay, thank you. Well, we will now move to those who are in neutral.
To testify neutral on SB 35, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no callers neutral at this time.
I'm not sure, but I think this is the only time, at least during this session, that no one called or more than one person called to comment. So with that, committee members, any additional questions that you might have? No? Okay, so with that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 35, and I will open it up for public comment, general public comment.
Chair, you have no callers in your queue at this time. Would you like to wait a couple minutes?
Yeah, let's wait just a couple of minutes, just in case there's technical difficulty, okay?
Thank you.
It looks like we don't have anyone.
Chair, the public line is open and working, and you have no callers at this time.
Okay. I would suspect that maybe everyone is still asleep, but I don't know. Just my presumption. Committee members, anything that you all would like to say before we end this meeting? Okay, I want to thank you all. I'm sorry. Did I hear someone? I want to thank you all and thank our broadcast team for all that they do and those who participated in this hearing. So we will call this to a close and we will meet again on Wednesday. So have a great day.